You said that there's a supreme amount of confidence, okay? You have a supreme amount of confidence. There's other words for it, but I'll use your word confident. That you could convince Donald
You could call
Trump.
me arrogant.
You could convince, your words, not mine. That somehow Bill O'Reilly could solve all of the problems of Donald Trump's campaigning. The list of people who have tried is long and distinguished, and that Donald Trump said he was going to listen to. I won't put you on the spot about that, but what I will put you on the spot about is this, that there is something about Donald Trump's personality and the clothes that bothers the American people and that scares them, even if it isn't in their own economic best interest. And he seems, and frankly, a lot of his supporters seem, completely uninterested in trying to fix that.
That is a very perceptive comment by Leland Vittert. There is something about Donald Trump's demeanor that is unsettling to millions of Americans, not the MAGA people, not the choir, but the people who are just gazing in. And they see this guy, and they see him not acting as traditional politicians act. And they see him saying things that are startling, and it bothers them. And I perfectly understand it. If I were running the Trump campaign, it's not a matter of Trump not listening. It's a matter of Trump believing that he knows best. If they ever make a remake of Father Knows Best, starring Robert Young and Jane Wyatt.
My dad's favorite movie.
It's a TV show.
TV show.
Donald Trump would have the Robert Young role, okay? He feels he knows best. What I, your humble correspondent, would do, and this is just an intellectual exercise here, okay? I don't want to run the Trump campaign. I wouldn't run it, even if they asked me to. What I would do would be sit him down and make a deal with him. Every time he wanted to say something that would hurt him, I would give him something better to say that would accomplish the same goal. It would be funnier, it would be pithier, and I would give him options. He likes options, and that's how I would handle him. I'll submit to you that none of his advisors understand that, and none of them have done it. If one of them had, Trump would not be neck and neck tonight.
The only man, and I think this would be fair to say, at times you had higher ratings than Donald Trump when you were on cable TV. So thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.